What'd you see? You were in Peoria. I know you talked to people, walked around, met, watched. What'd you see?
Takeaways from my time in Peoria. Number one, it made me think more about picking the Mariners to win the American League West. I think there's a pretty good vibe with this team right now. I think they really like Dan Wilson and like playing for him and have a pretty deep respect for him. And for him to have engendered that over less than a year in his seat is impressive. And I think he's an impressive guy. I think Julio Rodriguez is ready to take the leap. And I think he understands that the difference between being a 4-win player, which he's been through the course of his career, and being like a 7 or 8-win player, which puts him firmly into the conversation for American League MVP, has the chance to be the difference between the Mariners winning the division and not winning the division. And I talked to them about this. I pointed out, like, hey, Bobby Witt Jr. took the leap last year, and the Royals made the postseason. Do you think that you are capable of doing the same? And what would that mean to the team? And I think he understands his position right now for this organization and how much is riding on him. And I think that over time, we've had this chat before. Do we put too much on Julio, right? And not just in terms of like the pressure that comes with it, but that the Mariners need him to be a particular type of player if they want to be a particular type of team. And I think the answer is no, because you're operating with a bunch of set things within a set payroll, within a set roster. And, you can get marginal gains here and there from guys, but Julio's the one who has the largest delta there between what he is and what he can be. And because of that, that's opportunity cost right there. That's the ability to go and capture value from one person. And that extra value that he can bring if he has the type of year we know he's capable of having is it's game changing for this organization. I think it's a huge year for him. And third, they just draft so freaking well. I just missed Gerangelo Sancha, his bullpen, but I did see Ryan Sloan. And knowing that they have gotten in recent years, the two of them, both of whom I think are going to be very good, and Cole Themerson and Cole Young and Logan Evans, and we can keep going back, to Harry Ford and on and on. I don't know that the Mariners draft best out of everyone in baseball, but they're a top 3 team, and it is going to fund that pipeline going forward and make this team potentially dangerous for a while. And it aligns, Mike, with my question about the offseason. If you don't have any money, why don't you go trade for someone? Why not? Why not take advantage of your ability to draft and develop and just say, you know what, at some point, maybe we're going to overpay a little bit in prospects, but considering the core that we've got right now, the guys in that clubhouse deserve for us to complement it with good major league players.
Is that an option, though? I mean, like, were there teams looking to deal, proven players for prospects?
Sure. I mean, look at Kyle Tucker. I understand it's within the division, which would have made it more difficult. But the Cubs with Nico Horner, if you give them the right prospects, they would have gone there. They would have considered it. There's always the opportunity to trade for guys. It just may not be one of those deals, Mike, where you walk away thinking we got the best end of this. But the spoils at the end, the riches that you can find in success, to me, are worth taking a risk for. And when you're a team that is hamstrung by your payroll, and that is suffice to say, that is absolutely the case with the Mariners right now. They are hamstrung by payroll. You have to operate inside of a different paradigm. And that paradigm is we're going to try and make this 2025 team as good as we possibly can. And I don't know that the Mariners have that team right now.
You mentioned that you were filled with a little extra hope when you were there, and I totally get that. I think Brock and I felt the same thing. It's really hard to be there for a week and not become more optimistic as you talk to guys and are around the team. Yes. And I think that's been the case for us almost every year. The question I have for you is you go around to how many camps will you see over the course of the month? Half, most, all?
I won't hit all 30, but probably 25 plus.
So let's say if you go to 25 camps over the course of a month, in how many of those camps will they believe that they've got a shot to make a good run this year?
Well, I don't. I see your question, and it makes complete sense. But I want to just push back on the premise a little bit. I don't think that's as much about teams feeling confident in how they look this spring, as opposed to them looking at the landscape in baseball right now, the expanded playoffs, and understanding that it's easier to make a run now.
That's a good point.
Yep. Especially in the American League.
But how many teams have hope? Out of 30 teams, how many have hope this year? Because I feel like it's
27,
most, right?
26, 27.
Yeah.
Everyone in the American League East. Everyone but the White Sox in the American League Central, everyone but the Angels in the American League West, probably not the Nationals, but Phillies, Braves, Mets, not the Marlins in the NL East, everyone in the NL Central, and everybody but the Rockies in the NL West.
So it's like five
so
teams.
If you look at, there are going to be like three really bad teams this year in the White Sox, Marlins, and Rockies. And beyond that, someone's going to stumble, whether because of injuries, underperformance, or otherwise. But, they're we talk about competitive balance in baseball, and I understand that the Dodgers are where they are right now, and they are very clearly the most talented team. They won the World Series last year. They are probably the best team in baseball this season. But I'll tell you, man, the Padres – the Padres beat them 3 years ago. The Diamondbacks swept them last year. They are by no means infallible. And because of that, because of just the nature of how baseball is, going into the 2025 season, as somebody who loves the game, I'm really excited to see all of these teams that have a chance to be something and see what they turn out to be.
You were there before the Bob Nightingale article came out a couple days ago, and then Ryan Divish had his follow-up, and then we got another odd interview with Jerry Dipoto in The Athletic. What did you make of all of that?
Bob just wrote the truth, and I appreciate Justin Turner for saying it. What the Mariners did this winter, and the budget they were given because of where they are in their timeline, it didn't make any sense to me. And it was the opposite of how an organization should try to conduct its business. But beyond that, how the Mariners do try to conduct their business when it comes to baseball operations. You take advantage of opportunities, and this is an opportunity. I really enjoyed, and it was in a group, but I really enjoyed talking with Logan Gilbert and hearing how he goes about pitching and creating new pitches and working on his pitches in spring training. And to know that he is at the forefront of a staff that includes George Kirby, who is generationally talented at putting the ball in the strike zone effectively, and with Luis Castillo, who's been doing it upward of a decade now, and with Brian Wu, who we know has, the potential, at least the stuff, to be maybe the best guy in the rotation, and he's potentially your five, and add Bryce Miller to that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. This is, if they stay healthy, the best rotation in baseball. And that's saying something when you've got Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez looking like, a real frontline guy, and Aaron Nola and Ranger Suarez and Jesus Luzardo in Philadelphia. It's an exceptional rotation. I think they're going to figure out their bullpen. And when you have pitching like that, you just have to have a representative offense. In terms of Jerry talking with The Athletic, the premise of the story made me laugh, because it's like this guy who will occasionally put his foot in his mouth when he talks. And maybe if that's the premise of the story, don't talk.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me.
That seems like one way to handle something like that. Hey, let me ask something. I was struck. You didn't talk. Did you talk to Kevin Seitzer at all while you were there? Do you know him well?
I know him. My son plays for.
Oh, you're in Kansas City, right? Obviously, yes.
He plays for a travel ball team called Mac and Sight.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which was a facility started by Mike McFarlane and Kevin Seitzer.
Oh, that's really cool. So I was struck, yes, Jeff, by how friendly he was, how talkative, charismatic, warm,
yep,
whatever word you want to use. Edgar can be very much the same way. And it strikes me that, at least in my experience, and it's not nearly what yours is pretty rare for hitting coaches who I tend to find really hard to find. They're buried in the, in the cage, and they're grumpy. Is he a much more relational, relatable type of hitting coach than others around the league? Is that part of his charm?
I think it just depends on the vibe of the team. And I did not get a sense one way or the other that that's the case. But, ball man, I trust your instincts on this. And let's put it this way. It's going to be better than what they had last year. I think having Kevin Seitzer and Edgar Martinez there is an implicit acknowledgement by the organization that their approach in the past with hitting coaches did not work. They went with guys, whether it was Brant Brown or the parade of roving coaches who didn't have the experience and didn't command the respect of the room. And maybe that's not fair. Maybe that's not right. But that's how it was. And what you need to do as an organization is understand where you need to meet your players. You can't ask them to meet you somewhere. Too much of that, and they are going to revolt. So you need to know what your players need and provide that for them. And I think a guy like Kevin Seitzer, who has been a hitting coach a number of places for a long time now and won a batting title himself and understands what it takes to be a successful hitter. That's what the Mariners need right now. And that's what their young players need. And those relationships that are being built right now, as far as I can tell without having spoken with him, seem to be pretty good.
It'll be a conversation throughout the year with you, I'm sure. Just the idea of this team playing small ball, playing more aggressive. The Mike Petriello article came out this offseason all about just how truly awful it is to hit at T-Mobile, right? I mean, he proved it. Hey, I know we've talked about it, but here's why, and here's the proof. Is small ball the answer? Is that how you defeat T-Mobile?
I don't think this is a team that's particularly built for small ball, is it?
They feel like they're more built for it now than they were with Robles and Arozarena and Dylan Moore and Julio's speed and Luke Raley's speed. They feel like they're more built for it.
I just want to see Luke Raley bunt all the time.
He's good at it, oddly. He's really good at it. It's so weird. He's huge. He's a really good bunter.
Yeah. I don't know that small ball is the answer necessarily, but I don't think a little more of it is going to be detrimental. I think fewer strikeouts is the answer. And if having a small ball attitude leads to that, Mike, then totally on board with it. It's just that like putting together a team of sluggers. It's great if you have the park for it. The Mariners don't, going to hit their home runs, don't get me wrong, but they need to be judicious about how they approach things offensively, because what they have done in recent years just ain't working. And, if it's broke, fix it. And if fixing it means bunting a little more or slashing or hit and runs or the kinds of things that we don't see very often these days, and that is something that the hitters themselves are embracing, then lean into that. Absolutely. But I don't think the Mariners are going to turn into a juggernaut offense because they're running a little bit more, taking advantage of that speed.
No, I don't think so either. I think the idea from their point, and we heard Dan say it to us last week, was essentially, look, you play a lot of one-run games. If we've got a chance to play for the one run instead of the chance for a crooked number, we're going to try to get the one run rather than hoping for the crooked number. And that's been out of fashion for 15, 20, 25 years, however long it's been now. That's a huge – I don't hear that in baseball much.
No, you don't see it in baseball a whole lot either, but it tends to be – here's the thing. Small ball with high strikeouts is a recipe for disaster. It just – like the whole thing with strikeouts is that it's a bit of a Faustian bargain, right? Like you sell your soul for the 3-run home run. And you're okay or a little more okay with the strikeouts when you have that power. But if the strikeouts are there and the power isn't, that's definitionally a bad offense. Like it just is.
I think you're leaving out the walks. I think the walks are part of that Faustian bargain as well. Part of the reason you strike out a lot is that you're willing to take a lot of pitches to try to walk and then wait for your exact right pitch to hit the home run.
I think that's probably reasonable. But, I mean, how many high walk guys are on this team?
Not enough for a team that has said, let's control the zone for the last, 6, 7, 8 years or whatever it is. I know you got to run. Let me just ask you one or two last quick things. You said you talked to Julio. Please. Does that mean we're getting the Julio article soon? Is that a possibility?
The Julio story's coming.
Nice.
It's happening.
Did you sense
it will be within, I'm guessing, the first 2 weeks of April.
Smart.
I swear to God, if he's hitting 091, then I'm like, I don't, Mike, you know me. I don't root for teams.
Right.
I used to say I root for fast games, but all the games are fast now, so I don't have to root for that anymore. I root for myself. And in this situation, myself is Julio Rodriguez getting off to a representative to excellent start. Right. I'm not even asking for him to go out and hit 450 over the first couple of weeks.
Just don't be 090.
Yeah, exactly. Like 275 with like a slug that's over 375 even. Just give me a league average OPS. That's all I ask.
Did you notice with him? Brock and I both felt we noticed a little more edge from Julio, and he talked with us about. Did you notice it too?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. 100%. That's what the story. This story is going to be about purpose, and it's very interesting. Sometimes stories getting delayed. I swear this is not me trying to make up an excuse for not writing it, but sometimes stories are better if you let them bake for a little bit, because I have 2024 Julio and I have 2025 Julio.
Sure.
And the growth and the contrasting answers that he gives, they're a really fascinating study in what it's like to be young and talented and trying to grapple with all of that.